What's up, Thumpers? Welcome to another trailer reaction here at Hyper RPG. It is Pokemon Week here. It's Pokemon Week, Adam.
It is.
Yeah. We have a new games coming out this Friday.
Woo woo!
We have Eevee and Pikachu, and I still can't decide which one I'm
We
gonna
just
get.
talked about this. You're gonna pick Eevee.
I paid for Eevee, but then someone made a good argument for Pikachu. But speaking of Pikachu, we got a new trailer drop today. A first trailer for Detective
The first
Pikachu.
trailer for the Detective Pikachu film.
For this movie that nobody knows how to feel about.
Yeah, well,
Well,
was
it's
first
based
announced.
off of a game that
Yeah.
nobody really knew how to feel about
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
was a really strange Pokemon property that it's like the game we didn't ask for, but we got, and it was fun, but
Yeah.
it
That
still
sounds
was
like
like
literally everything in
it
Hollywood.
was pretty yeah, because I played through the game and it was I really enjoyed it. It's like it's just like a visual novel. There wasn't really much complexity to the puzzles and stuff like that, but I liked the story and I really liked the relationship between Tim and Pikachu.
So
Oh,
the story
yeah.
was intriguing.
the
I
story is
liked it a
good
lot,
and the
yeah.
plot's really cool, and like the way they flesh out the Pokemon universe outside of I train these animals to fight other people, and also there's a bad guy here. Is really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the gameplay was very, very minimal.
Yeah, it kind of opened up like different things where Pokemon have like jobs in this world. Like, which one's the Nosepass? Nosepass, like he's this, like giant rock Pokemon that I guess he can only face north, so they have him as like the compass on the cruise ship, you know, because he only faces north. It's like that kind of stuff. I'm like, I wouldn't have known that if it wasn't for the
just gotta clock in and go be a compass today.
Yeah, it fleshes out the
How do they
world
get
that
paid?
I know it fleshes out the world that Pokemon are not only things we use to battle each other and we treat animals to fight each
They have
other,
like regular jobs.
but we also force them into labor.
They got their day jobs after they retire from fighting.
Yeah.
There should be like a Pokemon union. I wonder if there is one.
That's a
Where
good
they
idea.
demand equal rights, but all they say is just like, Jigglypuff. It's like, what do you want, Jigglypuff? Jigglypuff.
I'm sure they have Meowth translators
Yeah.
that are also like the lawyers for these cases.
So why take this and make it into a movie? Is this the easiest entry point for general audiences to kind of understand what the universe is, or what's the appeal?
I think it's the most narrative.
It is the most.
I feel like,
narrative,
and
that's
I
it.
think that the Pokemon game, it follows so many different stories. I don't think it's the best for a movie. And I see this having a cinematic appeal of just like, there's one character, you know, two main characters, and a case that you have to solve.
It's a little more grounded, I think, because
Yeah.
if you look at the Pokemon movies that they've been,
Oh my gosh,
there's always
there's so
like
many.
a kind of like a world-ending thing or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a mystical Pokemon that we've never seen before. So
Yeah.
it's always kind of this very heightened scenario. While this is taking the world of Pokemon and introducing it to an audience that may not be familiar with it
Sure.
and like grounding it.
It's digestible.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's digestible.
Yeah, and it's like I think about this and I'm like, well, this is for someone who like watched it and kind of knew of it, but wasn't like really invested in it. If this is a springboard to win me over as a fan, to then maybe be like, oh, we're gonna do a live action like Pokemon movie with characters that are like Ash and all those characters, and we're gonna do something that's more universe expansive, then like, okay, cool, win me over with this, win over general audiences, then I think they'll be a little more excited to dive deeper into this world.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think
I feel like that's
a
it.
big part of it is too like this is the first one. Like the game has a story. There's like there's even set up for a sequel in the game, which I really enjoyed. But we've never seen a good video game movie.
No.
It
Oh,
is
dear
a cycle
goodness.
that is it's terrible. We're getting this, and we're also finally getting an Illumination Mario movie that
I think you
me
mean the second Mario movie that's been made.
right. But we try not to remember that weird. I got
I
nightmares from
love
those Goombas.
remembering that one.
It's real bad and real great at the same time.
But I'm kind of hoping
We've not
that,
got, and you mean like we've not gotten a good like video game adaptation movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
We've got
exactly.
good games or good movies about video games,
Right.
but they exist in their own world.
Yeah.
Except Wreck-It Ralph 1. I
Yeah.
think that could be considered maybe a good
I-
adaptation. But it's
It's-
pulling from everything.
Yeah, it's pulling from everything, and Wreck-It Ralph was not an established game that was then based
True.
off of
Yeah,
it.
It's
exactly.
true.
Same with Tron. Tron
But
was a game that was
the-
later then created after the movie.
The characters within, I think they do a good job of adapting them to a fun world,
Sure.
but it's not really an adaptation.
I mean, we look at
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, we look at Prince of Persia.
Doom.
We look at these
Doom.
we look
Ugh.
at these movies that the creators see how popular these properties are. They say, let's try and emulate that. And what they don't do is they don't stick with the original story. Like with Assassin's Creed, you have Ezio Auditore, arguably the greatest character in all the Assassin's Creed franchise. He's got 3 games because everyone loves him. And they give you weird Michael Fassbender and weird assassin and stuff. So
I didn't even watch it. Yeah.
I'm interested to see you guys' reaction on this with this trailer because
I'm excited to get into it.
I have
excited
seen
too.
it, and we will talk about that later. After we see
Emily's
the
slowly
trailer.
learning to not watch trailers when she works here.
Yeah.
I just got excited.
I haven't seen anything about it yet. I went on Twitter because there was a
I tagged you and
crazy
stuff.
day
Yeah.
on Twitter, and people tagged me. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm really glad into it. I don't even know what he looks like. what Pikachu looks like, or I haven't heard his.
He's
Well,
yellow.
let's hope he looks like Pikachu.
I hope so.
'Cause that would be a huge disservice.
But I think we just
Watch
jump
this
right
thing.
into this.
Let's
thing.
watch it.
Let's do it. Ah!
To Rhyme City. A celebration of the
Oh,
harmony
darn.
between humans and
Look,
Pokemon.
that Psyduck is gnarly, dude.
Just looking at you like,
Tim, your dad was a legend in this precinct. If you were anything like your dad.
I'm not.
I remember. You wanted to be a Pokemon trainer when you were young.
Dude, I love those matchups on the wall.
Yeah.
That didn't really
Steelix.
work
Like
out.
boxing match posters.
He's got a ticket to Rhyme City.
Someone there? Whoever you are, I know how to use this.
Oh, jeez. Here we go.
I know you can't understand me, but put down the stapler or I will electrocute you.
I love how soft he looks, dude.
yeah, all
Did
fuzzy.
you just talk? Whoa. Did you just understand me?
Oh my God, you can understand me. I've been so lonely.
Friends talk to me all the time. All they hear is Pika Pika.
You can hear him, right?
Pika Pika! Oh, that's so cute!
You guys adorable.
You're adorable. They can't understand me.
I don't need a Pokemon. Period.
Then what about a world-class detective? Because if you want to find your pops, I'm your best bet.
We're gonna do this. You and me.
There's magic that brought us together, and that magic is called hope.
What?
Listen up. We got ways to make you talk. Or mime.
Yeah.
So tell us what we want to know. Pipe. Yes. Okay. I can. Shoving. Pushing. My problem is that I push people away and then hate them for leaving.
You can shove it.
What? I can shove it? Okay, that's it. No, we're switching roles. I'm bad cop. You're good cop.
No, we're not cops.
In my head, I saw that differently.
What was that?
I don't know.
Oh man.
Yo,
Real
that
go back.
Charizard,
In all the D's.
that Charizard was on something. I think.
Oh, you think like?
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
So Matt knows that this trailer actually is very similar to the plot of the Detective Pikachu game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the game there are like you go through different cases, but there's one like overarching one. And
Do you think it
seemed-
will have the same outcome as the game, or do you think they're gonna switch it up?
I think it
Twist it
might
up.
have. I don't
gotta
know.
twist
I
it
honestly
up.
don't know because we see some characters from the story from the
Mhm.
game that are here. We
The
see,
setup is identical.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that girl that he's with. I forget her name. But
So is her Pokemon a Psyduck?
in the game, I don't think so. I think
Oh,
they
okay.
added the Psyduck. I don't
Okay.
remember having that.
They probably added that Psyduck for
But in
comic
the game,
relief.
she's
Yeah.
a reporter
Mhm.
for GNN with her friend Mako, and they're just trying to get the
Of
scoop.
course.
And so they kind of befriend Tim, and they help him. Together, they help uncover like the mysteries and stuff like that. So
Of course.
yeah, there's actually a pretty dark mystery in the game that deals
Awesome.
with like drugs and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very heavy game, and I love the tone that they're playing with the movie too. Like it feels, just with the lighting and of course the premise, it feels very noir.
It
Just all
feels
the
like
lighting.
I mean, with the Charizard scenes, it sort of felt like maybe like an underground criminal organization,
Yeah.
like underground fighting,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
like with the Pokemon. Is
underground
that-
battles.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
looks pretty awesome.
It's like illegal dog fighting, but with Pokemon.
because you would have that if Pokemon
Of course.
existed.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Like you would have the people that took advantage of it, and you'd have
Yeah.
the bad guys.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think I'm wondering because what's different from the game is that I noticed is that it looked like that Charizard was in like a fighting ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While in the game, I guess this is like a spoiler for anyone that's not played the game. So I'm gonna give you 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In the game, it's this drug called R that is being put into the air through like balloons and stuff like that, and it causes Pokemon to go into a rage. And usually these Pokemon are very
Oh.
gentle.
Of course.
So kind of like the plot of Zootopia.
Yeah, exactly. So they're trying to figure out who's doing it, why they're doing it, et cetera, et cetera. But in
Interesting.
this case, it looks like they were. We saw missing Pokemon signs, and while there were missing Pokemon in the game, it wasn't like this. I don't think
It wasn't. Yeah, and it looks like just the way they're interrogating Mr. Mime. Which, first of all, thank you so much for including Mr. Mime. Like, no one ever had that Pokemon because he's creepy. But they actually, one of his moves was like, it's a defense move, I think called Mimed Wall or Invisible Wall, and they actually do it in here, and I love it. I love subtle like Pokemon references like that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what kind of like the Pokemon moves in action.
Yeah.
Like we have, that Charizard looked crazy cool.
I think that's
and the Greninjas. Oh my god.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing I'm looking forward to is like how did they take the best parts of the lore and put it into the movie without alienating anybody and or like losing what Pokemon is, because essentially it is these animals just like fighting and having fun and having all these crazy powers. Like you have to sort of embrace that.
Yeah.
And something that I think they did a good job of too is they kept the personality of Detective Pikachu pretty spot on. I thought.
Yes.
Really.
He's like he's got kind of like he's like a little sassy. He's got like
it's a buddy cop video game.
Yeah, that's what I was
exactly.
gonna say.
So,
It's a buddy cop film. It
and
looks
so
like.
it's a buddy cop. He's much more of this kind of adult
Like
cop
in
a Pikachu.
Yeah, and his
Into it.
catchphrase is a bolt of brilliance whenever he figures it out.
Do you think
really
he'll say that one time
I
at
bet
the very
he
end?
has to. I'm
Or
sure
like
he
in the
will.
climax, he's gonna say it probably.
If it's Ryan
Or
Reynolds
over and
doing
over.
the voice, I think that's initially when this was cast and they said Ryan Reynolds was going to do the voice of Pikachu. I thought this is really weird because is it just going to feel like Deadpool as Pikachu? Is it going to be? But now I get it because of not only the appeal, but because he has that personality to just kind of win you over immediately.
Yeah, he does.
It feels familiar. It feels comfortable.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do something like this, if you got another actor who maybe like people are not as familiar with, or he doesn't have the same sort of like fun, bubbly personality, I don't know if people would be like, it's a little off-putting. But because it's Ryan Reynolds, you're like, oh, this is gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because you immediately compare it or think of Deadpool, and you're like, okay, cool. If it's sort of like that, but it's a little bit more for like all audiences, I accept it.
Yeah, and what I like about this and why I think it works for an audience too is that Pokemon, they just say their name most of the time. Right? They just or in Japanese they do like a screech. They're like animals essentially. But in this whole series, it's giving an intro to everybody because it's a great setup. Like Pikachu and Tim have this detective dynamic where Pikachu interviews all of these Pokemon because he's able to understand them, and he's able to communicate to Tim, and Tim's able to interview with these humans, and together they get like another Eagle Eye that like they wouldn't have gotten in like the in a scenario.
If only one person could understand.
It was like if I was able to talk to the dog would be like, oh, I saw this dude, like, oh man.
And it's going to create opportunities for the filmmakers to withhold information from other characters. Of like, well, only the Pokemon knows that. So if they get separated, that might be a problem. That kind of thing.
Exactly. And something that that they brought up is that he said that I'm going to electrocute you, but Detective Pikachu cannot use electricity. He can't use his thunder powers. What's
so
up with
he's
that?
just threatening. He's pretending to be
if
the
you
bad
if
cop.
you know the game, you can understand. Like, I'm interested to see if they follow through with the game. They seem to be basically basing it off the game pretty solidly so far. I'm interested to see if the climax and the reveal at the end is still the same with the game. I think it's a really smart move because I don't think this game did as popular in the United States as it did in Japan. A lot of people don't know this property and haven't played this property because it's not a traditional Pokemon game. And like you said, it really didn't offer a ton of gameplay. It was much more like a visual novel. So I totally understand and kind of support them using that because it is such a good story and was such a good game to then be the plot in the forefront of this movie.
Yeah.
My main concern with a live action Pokemon movie has always been like the way that it looks because I think it's very hard to pull off. So I've always been like, I don't think we need it because it's gonna look bad. I thought this looked so good,
weird,
and I thought they did such a good job with like the textures of like the fur and the scales on Charizard and like all of that. It's stuff that you don't really think about whenever you see the cartoons and the games because they don't draw those textures and it's 2D animation. But seeing it in real life, it's like they did a good job and there's a real style here. I think it looks really good.
And they also didn't like make them look more animalistic. They still kept their very like visual qualities, like the big eyes, like especially on Jigglypuff. They didn't make it have like realistic gerbil eyes or something.
They did such a good job because you'll see those like realistic like concept art designs and you're like, they're fucking terrifying.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing too is like, again, it goes back to like, you got to sort of embrace what it is. If you change it too much, then you're going to alienate all the fans who have been fans of this thing for over 20 years. And it's like you can't risk doing that because you're hoping that those are the people who are going to bring all their friends back. No, come watch. Like this is going to be a lot of fun. And hopefully through that, everybody else will sort of fall in love with it because it has a little bit more of like a general story that everyone can follow.
Yeah, and I think this is going to do really well because it's already hitting that nostalgia factor that everyone kind of has. I don't know, like it's hitting. the fact is like my Pokemon's in an actual live action movie already. You got an audience there, but I think they're going to be surprised. I really like the story of Detective Pikachu, and I think this is going to be fun.
I agree. I think my honest take on it is I think that the story is kind of easy, cliche. I will probably be able to predict what's going to happen in like the first 20 minutes. I got to know how this ends. But, there might be a twist, like you said. But also, I think this is a kid's movie. I think this is primarily for kids, and I think it's for us nostalgic adults.
Yes.
Like, I think that we need to go into this expecting sort of a PG adventure, and just have fun with it.
I think the biggest pull of this game, too, this movie, game. I think the biggest pull of this movie too is that the story of Detective Pikachu and
Tim
Goodman is that relationship that we all imagined us having with our Pokemon when we were playing it. Even though these were digital creatures, we all were like, "Oh man, this is my best friend. This is my Charizard that I raised from like a."
He gets me.
He gets me, and like I raised him so hard. I gave him all these rare candies, and like you would picture like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go sit and eat lunch," or like you'd picture these adventures you'd have with your Pokemon. And I think that's a really big pull of this movie is that here's the real person and the Pokemon going on an adventure together, and you're like, oh, that was me in my head when I was a kid.
And I think that we're going to see Pokemon battles. They established it that they're obviously it is the Pokemon world, so we're gonna see that. They even saw like tournaments in the background, like the Articuno versus like Steelix and stuff. So I think we'll probably see it at some point in some capacity. There'll be some Pokemon battle. So, which gets me really excited. So
and I look at this and I'm like, and I look at it and I go, oh man, this was a really good. I think the biggest reference for these filmmakers is like Who Framed Roger Rabbit is literally like their blueprint for this movie.
Yeah, totally.
So I hope that they took a lot of inspiration from that and like a lot of the heart and humor that has. And implement it into this because that's how you're gonna win the audience over and potentially convince people that like, oh, more Pokemon movies could be really cool. And now we can expand and go kind of more into like the traditional mythology of Pokemon.
Exactly. I think it's a good gateway. And it's just gonna be really funny to see all of these. Like I'm telling you, the game was like most of the thing I really enjoyed was seeing all these Pokemon and their jobs. Like
having jobs.
We had to bypass the security, and it's like 4 Machamps like, standing right there. It's like that kind of stuff.
It's so stupid, but
I'm
I love
very excited to see. If they really retain that, or if it's just everybody has a Pokemon because that's what you do. If they keep their occupations, but I'm sure they will. Who knows? Maybe that Mr. Mime was security at some place.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm really excited. I hope you guys are too. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think of the movie in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Hyper RPG. And stick around because guys, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu's coming out.
Woo-woo!
And if you want to play with us, just hit us up because I'm only getting Eevee edition. I need those fill that Pokédex with the other Pikachu edition. So
I'm gonna get the Pikachu edition.
Oh yeah, then we're good. Never mind. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bolt of Brilliance.